Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our study session for February 27th. All the council's here. Mr. Adams is excused today from this meeting, but everyone else is present. As usual, item 1 is to go over the agenda for this coming Monday's March 3rd meeting. Let's go through that, council, and if you have any questions, you know what to do.
It's a very light agenda.
Very short.
Okay. Well, it depends sometimes. Nothing? Okay, maybe we'll have a short study session too, who knows? All right, if there's nothing else, we're going to move forward then. Item 2 is a discussion on consideration of Scott Butler as the next city manager and provide direction on the next steps. So council, I know we all know Scott, but I would like to invite him to come up and have him discuss his experience and background and provide us his vision on what he would emphasize as the next city manager. So, Mr. Butler, welcome to the table.
Well, good morning, Mayor and Council. I was hoping you'd stall for, several minutes with questions, but no, thank you. Thank you all for the opportunity. I really appreciate the faith and trust that you have put into me by the process that you've chosen to move forward. It's very humbling because I know what a huge job and responsibility this is. I've witnessed it firsthand by watching Mr. Brady these last 19 years through the highs and the lows that come along with leading such a large, complex organization. And I really appreciate the consideration that you've given to me to consider me for this role. First and foremost, though, I do want to thank Chris. 19 years in this role is extreme accomplishment. He's far outlived the normal life of an average city manager across the country, and it's just a testament to his leadership and the vision that he's set for this city through some interesting times, everything from the lows of the Great Recession and the pandemic to the highs of wins of keeping the Chicago Cubs and all the great growth and development that we've had over these 19 years. So Chris has certainly been a mentor, a great leader, but a friend to me and to many of us here in the city. So we're going to miss Chris. So it's bittersweet as we talk about this that we're going to be losing such a great leader in the city. But thank you, Chris, for all that you've done. But it was probably about 10 or 11 years ago. I remember Chris and I were on a GPEC trip, and we were talking. I expressed to Chris that I was serving as the city's Director of Government Relations at the time, but I felt that I had more that I'd like to contribute and like to continue to grow and develop as a leader, and I expressed that to Mr. Brady, and I was very honored that he responded soon thereafter by naming me a Deputy City Manager and allowing me to grow and develop more as an employee here at the city. And over these past 10 years, both in that role as a deputy and now in my current role as an assistant, I've really had a tremendous opportunity to see the work and the commitment that our 4,500 employees bring to this city day in and day out, trying to deliver the best service possible to our residents, trying to solve problems, trying to make lives better, whether that's through our library programs and parks programs, but through our public safety day in and day out, those interactions that the men and women in the Mesa Police Department and the Mesa Fire and Medical Department have on, as we always say, a person's worst day when they've had an interaction, just the empathy and compassion that our folks show and the dedication. And so it's certainly a testament to the complexity of this organization that we can do so many things across so many departments and do it well and do it with a commitment to service that our employees show. So going back initially, I've been with the city, as many of you know, for 21 years now. I was so young when I started. I had a lot more hair at the time, and but it's been a tremendous journey. My first job was as a council assistant for then Vice Mayor Claudia Walters, and but soon after that, I transitioned over to the city's government relations side of the house, and worked with a good friend and mentor, Jim Hewling, who many of you may remember from Jim's years at the city, and worked with Jim in that capacity till Jim retired. And it was at that time I was honored that Chris did name me government relations director in 2008 and served into that role until I became deputy city manager. So I've had the opportunity, though, over the years to work, and you know, this is a team sport, right? There's no accomplishments that you do alone. So all the programs and initiatives that I was able to work with were as part of a team, whether that was part of the effort to retain the Chicago Cubs and working on the funding for that, the Air Force Research Lab, the Gilbert Road Light Rail Extension, the tower at Gateway Airport. I mean, you name it, and it was part of the opportunity and part of the fun, frankly, that I've had that's kept me enjoying coming to work for these 21 years and viewing the challenges and opportunities that we have at the city as a real opportunity to move things forward and provide that great service for our residents. And so as we embark on this new phase in the post Chris Brady era, the thing that we can do is know that we stand on very solid footing. Where we stand from a financial standpoint, being fiscally conservative, being very thoughtful about our expenditures, not getting out over our skis is now a hallmark of how we do business here, and that's put us in very good shape, and we've seen that over these years. And I know we've been the envy of many of our neighbors because of the discipline that we've shown in that regard. But at the same time, we've been able to be innovative and creative in delivering services. What we've done, for example, on the fiber side, and is the envy of the country. I know Ian and other staff are asked to speak probably weekly, if not daily, to talk about our experiences and how we were able to solve a complex problem, but to really help future-proof our residents. And so I know this is just the beginning. There's a lot more to come. We don't know what the challenges lie around each turn, but I think being able to stick to those values that we hold dear, keeping that fiscal discipline while at the same time prioritizing public safety and all of the areas that we have done as a community, I think will carry us forward. So thank you again for the consideration, and I'll be glad, Mayor, if there's anything else, I'll be glad to elaborate on that.
Yeah, of course there will be.
I thought I'd get off easy, so.
Well, you're not.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe you could address a couple of your top priorities, and then after you're done, I've asked the council to ask some questions to you. It's not going to be a lengthy interview, but at the end, I'll ask you about your priorities, and then council, if you want to ask some questions, please do so, and then we'll move from there.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate that. And as a big believer in the role of the council manager form of government, I will say my priorities are your priorities, and that is what staff is listening to and trying to understand and implement as this council coalesces behind a shared vision of different priorities as we move forward. Those are the areas that I'll seek to work with our city staff to make sure that we can move forward. Certainly, though, keeping some of those principles that we spoke about from fiscal discipline, I think that's so important. That's what's really ensured that we're doing things in a responsible manner. And I'm very proud of the work that we've done as a city over these 19 years under Chris's leadership to make sure that we're doing everything in a fiscally responsible manner. And I don't plan to change that or want to change that because, as I mentioned a moment ago, that's allowed us to continue to grow and prosper. Public safety is the linchpin of our community, right? That's the number one service that the city ultimately provides amongst a myriad of very important services. We've got to make sure that our communities are safe and that our residents are healthy. So our continued investment and prioritization of our police and fire departments are going to be essential to that. We're certainly entering some interesting times, I think, coming up right now, all because of things that we did not do to ourselves. We're living due to the results of changes made at the state level that we had no control over, that are going to put some strains on our ability maybe to do everything we would like to do in the coming years. But that doesn't mean that we're going to stop innovating and stop prioritizing those areas that the council has been discussing and will be discussing in your strategic planning session coming up next month.
Great. Council, your turn. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Butler, you said you touched on this, that you've been with the city for 21 years. Would you expand upon that and talk about the roles that you've held along the way and how that has prepared you to be city manager here in Mesa?
Sure. Mayor and Vice Mayor, thank you. Starting with, I think, the government relations positions that I played, especially as the director in that, I think the theme has been in all those positions has been the cross-departmental collaboration that I've been able to have. When you're serving in the role as the government relations director, you're the messenger of the city, but what that means is you're relying and building those relationships within the city to understand how we do a little bit of everything, since the state legislature and Congress and others set policy that really dictate almost every area of the city. You become maybe you know a little bit about everything in the sense that you have to rely on your staff and those relationships to get you the information to learn about a myriad of projects. And so that really expanded my knowledge base throughout the city about what we were able to do and all the different projects and service delivery that we offered to our residents and what our priorities were within those individual areas. And then certainly as I oversaw departments in my role as deputy city manager and assistant city manager, I really did a deeper dive into those different areas, understanding the needs, working with those employees, trying to, get out as much as I could, boots on the ground, talking to folks and understanding their needs beyond just what we were hearing from the management side of things. So I think just the ability to work across so many different departments to understand those departments and the needs, and it's ever changing and evolving, right? It's what was the case 5 years ago might not be the case today, but that's part of having a great city staff that we do to ensure that good flow of information happens. But I've been lucky to have been exposed over these 21 years to a lot of the different areas that the city serves.
Thank you. Ms. Spilsbury.
Since public safety is such a huge part of our budget and so important to our city and just so crucial, can you talk a little bit about your experience being over the public safety departments over the last couple of years and why those relationships are important?
Yeah, absolutely. Mayor and Councilmember Spilsbury, I really appreciate the opportunity when Mr. Brady named me to that role of being able to collaborate with our public safety departments. But I thought I knew all the good work and the efforts that public safety did, but I've really had tremendous amount of respect for what the men and women in both Mesa Fire and Medical and the Mesa Police Department do. And over the last 3+ years, I've really been able to get a firsthand look at the challenges that they face. It's a tough job, right? No matter what position that they serve in within those organizations, it's a very tough, challenging job. And so this council, historically, and this current council have always prioritized public safety and put the needs of our men and women in uniform as a priority. And it's not just making sure that they're equipped and safe in the field. It's also been the prioritization of making sure that they're healthy from their exposures that they may have in the field or their mental health, all the wraparound services that come with that. And I think that's essential as an employer, that we have to continue do that. They literally put their lives on the line every day to make our community safer, and so we have to make sure that we're treating them with the dignity and respect that they deserve, through compensation, through health care, through all the things that that we as an employer provide. But it's also that acknowledgement that, and we see this, we all talk about this as we interact with our colleagues outside of the state. There are other cities our size, other cities in the Southwest that I don't even need to name that share some very similar demographics. But the difference, I think, from an economic development standpoint, from a prosperity standpoint, is the safety in those communities. And if people don't feel safe, they want to invest. And if people have a perception about a community that really hurts when you're out trying to recruit businesses to come and locate. And so not only for the safety of our residents, but for the prosperity of our city, I think it's really important that we continue to prioritize public safety moving forward.
What about relationships with our unions and, knowing that there's been some historically rocky challenges in the past, and we're in a good position right now. So have you had a part in that?
Well, I think we've
It's
all,
hard.
Mayor and Councilmember Spilsbury, I think we've all had a part in that. It's never just one person. Mr. Brady's certainly provided the opportunity to get the resources there to where we stand, I think, in a really good place on both the police and fire side. Now, I've been doing this long enough, not just working with our labor, but negotiating at the Capitol and other places too, to know that you're only one day away from things changing. But I'm very proud of the situation that we're in right now with our labor organizations, and it's a good push and pull, right? They have a job to do for their members to highlight areas where they think we can do better, and then as management, we have the reality of trying to make sure we can get reasonably the resources to them, while at the same time understanding that we have a large, complex organization that we also have to fund. So it's a good balance, right? It's a push and pull, but if you go into that with respect for each party and the role that they're trying to play, it's not personal, right? They have a job to do, I have a job to do, and so that's always the approach that I've taken to that role, and I'm very happy that we have a cooperative relationship right now with all of our friends in labor.
Thank you. Ms. Goldfarth?
Excuse me. Thanks, Scott. And this isn't about your experience, but it's certainly because of your experience you can answer it. So what would you say is right now is maybe the biggest issue facing the city of Mesa, or issues now or in the, looking forward a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Mayor and Councilmember Goforth, I think every city right now, as we're evolving through technology and how we're finding innovative solutions to deliver services, we're certainly limited on the revenue side. All cities are, but certainly Mesa, without just with the way that we are so reliant on sales tax and the economy, does present challenges that you maybe don't see outside of Arizona, where it's a more diverse revenue source. So I think always being cognizant of where we are relative to our economic development, and the way that we ensure a prosperous future and the ability to deliver those services is continue to reasonably grow and target industries that'll bring great high wage jobs to our community, bringing that quality that council has talked about to ensure that it's not just a job, but it is a desirable job that many members of council say that, and you always think about how you would want your children to have the opportunity to move back to Mesa after college and find a job and start a family. And so I think staying on top of the economic development side and making sure that we're attracting those businesses and harnessing an ever-changing economic environment, right? Semiconductor and AI and others are where the investments in technology and jobs are going right now. So what are we doing to ensure that We have an aggressive attraction and retention effort to do that while helping to grow advanced manufacturing and keeping companies like Boeing here and prosperous. I think on the economic development side that's really important. And part of that, of course, is how we are getting businesses through the process and making sure that we provide that business-friendly environment that allows that to happen in a timely manner, while at the same time, as we said, pushing to make sure that it's quality development that communities bring. And I think that with the great staff that we have, we'll be able to strike that balance moving forward. I think on top of that, we're just going to have to continue to evolve in the way that we provide services. And we've already started that with some of our innovative approaches like the Mesa Express Library and other ways where you try to bring resources to people in a non-traditional manner. And I think that's what our challenges are going to be moving forward. Luckily, we have staff that are excited about that opportunity, that embrace change. And I think the more that we can lean in on that and use their expertise and find creative ways to do that, we're able to deliver services without necessarily just throwing money at a situation, but trying to be better stewards of the way that we're spending the resources that we have right now. Okay.
Very good. Ms. Duff?
Thank you, Scott. I know we've had quite a few conversations. Well, we've had, just for the public to know, we've already gone through a group interview process through eSession last week. And we've also had some opportunities to talk to Scott one-on-one. So this is kind of in a summary phase of an interview process. But if you could touch upon how in our discussions previously, you mentioned using innovation and technology to increase our efficiency, looking at ways as we evolve towards the 22nd century and how we can get away from the typical government bureaucracy type of thing and get and move towards the efficiency to improve our services.
Absolutely, Mayor and Councilmember Duff, thank you. I'm going to go to one of the low-hanging fruits talking about innovation, but it's because it's all something we know and love and talk about a lot, but it's, I think, symbolic of the opportunities that our departments have, which is the Real-Time Crime Center in the police department. If we've all been there, we've all seen it. I have the luxury in my role as assistant city manager, and Mr. Brady does as well, of seeing day in and day out. It's amazing. There's hardly a day passes where there's not a crime that is solved or greatly assisted by the work in the Real-Time Crime Center. And so to be able to use technology like that as a force multiplier, we can't afford to put an officer on every street corner. But through the use of technology and cameras and drones and the other opportunities that the Real-Time Crime Center has brought to our police department, we're able to greatly expand the reach of our efforts and to get eyes on the scene long before an officer may be able to physically be there. And it has paid dividends, both in the saving of lives and then also, unfortunately, when something has happened, being able to identify who those individuals are and to quickly apprehend them. So that may just be one glaring example of a force multiplier, but we see that day in and day out through the opportunities that artificial intelligence may bring, whether that's through plan reviews, whether that's through other opportunities to help speed up our process within an organization. Because you're right, the government, we're not in a situation where we just can expand willy-nilly, nor do we want to. We want to live within our means. We want to be very respectful of the taxpayer dollars. So how are we using that most efficiently? And I think that is a department by department look at our technology. Our Do It and our Do It staff, do a great job of being innovative, but oftentimes in addition to that, it's those programs and systems that our experts within the departments know through their trade associations and through their familiarization with vendors that we're able to identify these different tools that we can bring. And as you all know, the conferences you attend, the exposure that you get to, these different innovative ways to do it. So I think we just need to continue to encourage that to be open to try, to do things differently. And we talk about that a lot in the organization, right? Empowering employees to be able to elevate creative ideas and new ways to do things, so that we're not just doing it the same way that we always have over the years. And I think that's going to be important as the organization continues to evolve.
Tell our thousands of viewers this morning what DO-IT stands for.
I'd say.
The Department of Innovation and Technology.
Just in case
Yeah,
people weren't aware.
I know.
You got to work on the acronyms,
Government
Scott.
loves our acronyms, don't we? So.
Okay, Mr. Heredia.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate the information. And you talked a little bit on kind of employees. And I think it's always been hard for government to get the best and brightest, but I think it's been hard. I think we've seen some hard times right now in some of the attacks on government employees that we are seeing. And some thoughts on how do we recruit the best and brightest and keep the best and brightest here in the city of Mesa, ensuring that we have them and feel confident that they work here. Their work is cherished, and then also ensuring that we have a diversified workforce that reflect our community. So what are your thoughts on ensuring that we have those pieces, as far as, because we're only as good as the people that we have, right? And so I think the work that our public service staff that are doing it every day, I think is important to ensure that we keep folks that are doing a good job. So what would you do to ensure that folks are staying and we're recruiting a diversified workforce here that reflects our community?
Absolutely, Mayor and Councilmember Heredia. I will say I would put the capabilities and the ability of our staff up against any private sector or public sector entity. We have great staff at the City of Mesa up and down the line, and you're right, it's a challenging environment, especially over the last few years with some of the economic opportunities and job growth and vacancies. It's been a real challenge for all organizations, public and private, for retaining staff and making sure that we're attracting the most capable people. And I think that all starts with our approach to be as inclusive as possible of getting the message out of the opportunities at the City of Mesa, to advertise far and wide, to make sure that folks understand the opportunities here at the city, and that we do everything that we can to recruit across the spectrum, so that we can find the best and brightest that want to serve in this community. But you're right. Ultimately, there's sometimes that government, no matter whether it's the City of Mesa or another entity, can't compete at certain levels against the private sector. We certainly want to stay competitive, but sometimes it's a whole different ballgame. So we do talk about the opportunities at the city to provide that community service, and that's what we hear time and time again, and we see it through data and research that we see about why people choose careers in public service. It is to give back to their community. They care. They know that they could probably make more money in the private sector or through some other endeavor, but they care about their community and they want to give back. And so in return, what we can provide is an environment where, you know, we do want to ensure competitive wages. We do want to provide the health care and those other services that allow them to have a career and feel good about the career that they have. But it is the support that we receive from the council, and it is noted and appreciated. We don't hear from anyone on this dais any kind of attacks on the intent of the good work that our employees are doing day in and day out, just trying to provide great service out in the community. And that really creates an environment where we know that this council respects and values the work done by all 4,500 employees out in the community, and that's another environment. I talk to people all the time that say, I wanted to come to Mesa because of the stability, because of the way that your council presents itself on issues, and it makes a huge difference. So competitive wages and being a good employer can only get you so far, and so it's the environment, and we've joked in other settings, the vibe that is the city of Mesa that's really important as we try to recruit and retain quality employees.
Good, thank you. Any follow-up questions? Well, if not, thank you, Mr. Butler.
Right,
You can
thank you.
return to your seat.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we'll talk about it. But I just wanted to point out the fact that through my work experience and as a council member, I've probably got about 39 years with the city, and seeing how the city has just moved forward through technology, through all our enterprises, through the many facets of utilities that we provide, and we're a full-service organization. And as I stated earlier, I think it's very important that our city manager has foundational and institutional knowledge of our community. And I think that's why, as a council, we've moved forward to recommend Mr. Butler to that position. It's a very heavy position, as he stated. 4,500 employees. We're the board of directors for a $4.9 billion company called the City of Mesa. But we live here too, and we want the best services to our community. With that, I think that Scott's leadership is imperative. In my 8 years as a council member, now as a mayor, I've never heard one person talk ill about Scott. And I think that's very incredible. Now, I'm not in the same group that may talk otherwise, but in my experience, I've not heard that. So I think that's kudos to Mr. Butler. I know there's a lot of pressures on that, but I think he's built relationships and trust within the organizations. And as you know, we're going to have department directors leaving us soon, and so it'll be imperative that we have the right people back in the right positions to ensure that our city functions properly. So I think his commitment's here. I mean, he could have retired a year ago, I guess, and left, but that's not his option. So he's here. So his commitment, and it's important that he understands our future as a council member and works hand in hand with that. So with that, council, I would ask for your help, and if it's okay to have Mr. Butler placed on the agenda for Monday's council meeting. We just need to provide direction.
Do we make an official motion? Or just?
We don't need a motion, just
so we just all
direction.
say-
Just direction.
There's
Yeah.
general direction, we'll put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
So I
support
see
that.
everybody's head nodding, so that's unanimous that we'll move forward and place him on the agenda for Monday. And that appointment would come after Mr. Brady's retirement, so we'll work on it. I don't think you want to leave any sooner than that. I mean, you have your hands full right now.
One more budget season, one more.
Really don't want to know the answer.
He needs some more gray hair. Let's put it that way. But I think to Miss Spilsbury's point, this is on Channel 11, so those who wish to understand why we did this as a council, I mean, you're free to look at that, and I would recommend people getting out on Channel 11 and looking at that. So I think with that, next is our current events and conferences attended. Council members, do you have anything you'd wish to share? Okay, Miss Julie.
I'm always open for other people going first, so. We have had some fun things happen the last few days. Tuesday night, most of us attended the Mesa Citizen of the Year. It is Jenny Richardson, who's a former Mesa Public School Board member and president, and Bill Peters, who is a Mesa police officer for the last 34 years. So that was really exciting to go and celebrate these two incredible people and their influence and impact on our city for so many years. It was impressive to hear all the things they're involved in. And you sit there and think, man, I should be doing more. They're very impressive citizens and very humble about their awards. And so that was neat to celebrate them. Yesterday and today is our Mesa Hacktivate Day that our education workforce department and pretty much every other department in the city helps with. Mesa Public Schools, they bring in groups from all the high schools and give them hard issues to try to tackle. And I just love hearing what these teenagers have to say. This year there's topics like water, energy, air quality, food systems, some hard ones. So today, this afternoon, will be the presentations, and really excited to see what they come up with and maybe some things we can use in our cities. So, and then yesterday morning was a neat experience. Councilmember Duff and the mayor and I attended the recognition of the first responders who rescued a woman off of Val Vista in the 60 from her burning vehicle. It was really neat to hear their stories. It was a Chandler police officer, a Peoria firefighter, and a Mesa paramedic that were on their way to work, that were, just cars behind her on the freeway that were able to save her. And then our crews showed up. And it was just a really neat story. And maybe you heard it on the radio yesterday. I did. It's just really, really neat to see all the different departments coming together and helping. And just regular citizens that helped as well. And she escaped with no injuries, so it's kind of miraculous. And then this Saturday is I Love Mesa Day from 10 to 3. And I just wanted to highlight a few things. Literacy Lane, we've done our big literacy initiative for Read on Mesa for the city of Mesa. And so we love to see it being amplified and highlighted. And so Literacy Lane is really a fun part of I Love Mesa Day. And on the main stage, I think most of us are all going to be reading at some point. I'm reading with Clifford at 12, so that's going to be fun. And then the Idea Museum, something super exciting too, is so all of our museums have free admission that day, but the Idea Museum is opening up their new Idea Lab. And at our board meeting this last week, we were able to go take a sneak peek. And I'm so excited about it. It's really, really fun. If you have kids or grandkids, get over there. It's so fun. It's merging art and technology and AI and experiences. And it's so cool. You're going to love it. So. And that's all sponsored by Meta, and the free admission day is sponsored by Meta as well, so we wanted to thank them. But I just am really excited about the fun activities this Saturday, and there will be something for everyone.
Okay, anyone else? Ms. Duff.
I don't have more to add on the activities, but I do want to mention that on Sunday, Masks Lives Festival at Pioneer Park will be going on from 2 to 5 p.m. And that's the Cultural Coalition that does this festival every year. And they have performance art. There will be food trucks, vendors there with all kinds of crafts of indigenous and Mexican heritage. And it's really phenomenal to see the performances, and I encourage everybody to head out on a beautiful weekend.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, just a reminder, we have spring training going on. For those that would like to go to a ball game, here's the perfect time. We have perfect weather, and I know I was at the Cubs game recently, and there was a couple, they were suntanning on the seats. I could tell, well, you're not from Arizona because they were enjoying the weather and the sun. So appreciate that. With that, Mr. Brady, schedule our future meetings, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, reminder, the council meeting will be on Monday, May 3rd for a study session. We'll start at 5:15. Also this afternoon or this evening, early afternoon.
3rd.
What do I say?
You're
Oh.
already in May, and we haven't got
We're not in May yet?
I know you're trying to retire here.
I don't know where that came from.
It starts with an M.
March. Everything's about May these days. Okay.
I'm sure it is.
This afternoon, this evening, 5 p.m., we have our celebration of public art here at the City Hall. We have some of the artists that will be here just to recognize them, as well as we're doing this to also express appreciation to the Mesa Arts Board for their support of the arts. Also, as Councilmember Spilsbury mentioned about I Love Mesa Day, also we want to remind you that everyone that during that event, there'll be free admission. This is the most popular part, right? For the Arizona Museum of Natural History and the Idea Museum, there'll be lines out the door. So we're excited to be able to host that again. And we believe that we'll be the introduction of our new mobile library called the Read Runner. So we hope that that will be there for that activity. So we're very excited about this weekend. So thank you.
Very good. Hearing nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Vice Mayor, Ms. Goforth. And this vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye. It's unanimous. Thank you, everyone.